Hey guys, so welcome to the Posted Times episode number 3. This is your place to get the news of Australia and the world. Do you like my hand actions? So please make sure to click on Australia or world to see the stories. Keep in mind I haven't put all the specific stories because I've only got one for each. So there were some kind of things that happened in Australian news, but most of it is kind of stuff that I don't really want to report on. For example, there was a person who got king hit. I don't feel comfortable talking about these kind of tragedy, stabbings, shootings, punchings, king hittings, because unless I'm really part of it, because it doesn't really, I don't know, I don't really want to feel like I'm, because I want to interject my opinion, and there's no point in injecting opinion into something that's so negative and so hurtful. I don't understand the logic of this pointless violence. So moving on to stuff that I'm actually planning on talking at length about, do politicians get enough respect? So this is coming from an Australian perspective, sort of, if we're talking Australian politics, because if you look at like America, if anybody addresses the president, they say your presidency, or Mr. President, or at worst Barack Obama. And like in England, obviously, your highness, and your excellence, and your something else. Something else-ness-y. But with the Australian Prime Minister, and I guess just the Parliament in general, but more specifically the Prime Minister, because she's the main person, it's a bit more complicated because in Australian government, in fact just in Australian like society, everybody is kind of like friends with everybody else. And in a way that's really good because you get a lot more public opinion out there, you've got like more protests, you've got more public forums and more opportunities to speak your mind. But the trade-off of this is maybe we're not giving our Prime Minister the respect that she deserves. Like for example, like I mean, half the time she's interviewed, they call her Julie, or in some cases, well maybe she isn't called us when she's interviewed, but some people just call it Jules. It's just like an Australian nickname, as opposed to Prime Minister. And it's really difficult. The reason that I find this interesting, I personally agree that they deserve more respect, because even though I hate politicians, one, they're making themselves more accessible, which deserves respect in and of itself, but think about it, they have to run the entire country. There are so many protests in Australia. There are public forums where people will just yell their opinions, not to, but freaking at the Prime Minister. I keep saying the Prime Minister because I want to be respectful. Or at least even Miss Gillard would be an improvement on just Julia. So it's because I can't manage my own money. I just buy things for like no reason. I bought like a thing of lemonade I'd never had before, and I only drank half of it, and it cost like $4. So it was a complete waste. If I had to run the entire country, we would be broke in a matter of days, because I'd probably spend all the treasury on Xbox games. I don't know. It's just way too difficult, because if you just think about it, you realise that it must be a completely immense task, and you can't even comprehend how difficult it is, because you're just caught up in your opinions. Like, I mean, like when you're yelling at someone, like if you're yelling at the Prime Minister, you're not like, I wonder how hard her life is. You're just like, screw this, we need to support gay marriage, which I support. Please do it. Please do gay marriage. Please legalize gay marriage. Okay, and the second story that I wanted to talk about is Vodka Mum. If you haven't heard this, because either you're not an American, or because you're an American and you don't watch the news and somehow you watch me instead of the news, that is so unlikely. I only get like 5 views. Vodka Mum is a mother who, she's alcoholic and she's a mother of, I think she's a mother of 3. And she drank tons of vodka, passed out on top of her child and the child died. So it's really tragic, and it's really sad because you can't help but think, oh my god, that is absolutely terrible. What's worse still is this is arguably not even the worst part of the story. It's debatable. I personally don't think it is. I think it's disgusting, but just be patient. Be patient. Wait for me to finish. So the whole issue is, yeah, she is a completely irresponsible parent, and it's kind of the perfect story for the media. You've got alcoholism, which is always a terrible problem, and parenting, which is so antsy, because if you think about it, there are always new reports of going, don't coddle your child, he'll become a brat. Oh, don't not cuddle your child, he'll become a wrist slasher. I shouldn't be joking about that. Oh god. But because I think parenting is just a minefield, honestly, as with cancer, because everything will give you cancer. But the issue has arisen though, because there was a person whose name is Nancy. I don't know what her last name is. I don't do research because I'm stupid. She had a really scathing report. I actually watched it in full. It was pretty terrible. Like, she'd cross between all these experts, and all the while she'd be measuring out how much she drank. It was actually even revealed that she woke up a couple of times but didn't realise that she was crushing her baby and just went back to sleep. But the worst part of this is, after Nancy's really scathing review, the hordes just came down on Vodka Mum, and they just kept harassing her. And I think it was by internet, and I don't know, probably didn't call her because I don't think they knew what her number was, but they completely hit her hard. And the result of, because if you think about it, this is all too logical. Not that I'd ever want to do it, but she has been alcoholic, so that's never a good start. Like, I mean, if you're alcoholic, the odds are very good that you're not going to be happy with the way that your life has turned out. And then you add in the fact that you've just killed your youngest child, and the hordes have just attacked you, and like a whole nation has banded together as a team to completely slam you as a person, and as a human being, as a parent. Not that it isn't necessarily deserved. She committed suicide because of all that pressure. And I really hate any story that ends in suicide, because I don't even want to describe it, because I can't do the awful things that I associate with suicide. Because, I mean, I haven't had the perfect life, but you've got to keep going with it. And I understand, though, in a way, I obviously don't agree with it, but I understand her desperation, because I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I killed anyone, let alone it being because of something that I hate about myself, alcoholism. Well, I would hate, I don't know if she did, but I know I would. And have everyone harass me about it. And it's kind of sad, because the hordes have done, like, they haven't caused tons of people to commit suicide, but they have just done some terrible things. I mean, there are probably tons of stories that I haven't searched for, but here are just two that come to mind when I think of just like internet masses being complete arseholes to people. There was one where there's a lady called Chrissy Swan. She started off as a reality star. She's somewhat overweight. I don't it's not like I'm gonna say she's completely overweight, but I'm basically saying it simply because this is what other people have been kind of thinking of her. And the reason that I say that is she was talking about like food and stuff and how she's kind of like a bit loose with it with her kids. And basically everyone said, you don't deserve to be a parent. I was just like, that is so harsh. It makes me sad when people resort to such mean things. And the second part that I really hated was there is a show in Australia called MasterChef Australia, which is like a cooking show. It's kind of like So You Think You Can Dance with Cooking, except with really zany challenges. It's a really cool show. And a couple, I think it was 2 seasons ago, there was a person in it called Joanne. Some people didn't like her. And then there were some people who unfortunately had the internet who absolutely hated her. They not only said basically like, I hate you, in a million different ways, they sent her death threats. That doesn't make sense. You've known her, you've seen her and heard from her in about, I don't know, you've heard like 2 hours of her speaking and you've already decided that you want to kill her. That is just unfair. I know some people wouldn't like, I know just because you send someone a death threat doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do it, because I mean there are some days where I just say, oh, I'd love to stab my maths teacher, but seriously, if you send death threats, especially if like 100 different people also do it, that's not going to be good for someone's self-esteem. And I think as kind of a final note to this terrible story, just to prove how terrible these harassers are, after they harassed Vodka Mum and she committed suicide, they didn't say, oh no, what have I done? They turned on Nancy. I'm not saying, oh, how could you be so mean to your overlord? But I mean, you can't even see that it is necessarily your fault. It just makes me sad that someone can be so cowardly. I'd rather someone say, I hate you to my face, because then I can talk, I can say, either I hate you back, or I can walk away, or I can ask them how to improve myself, or something like that, as opposed to just being a coward and putting it online. Just no, I don't even want to describe how sad it makes me feel that a tool that can be used for such greatness, for such inspiration, for such messages of hope, for such important life lessons for some people, not